Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll give it just one more minute to give everyone enough time to connect. Thank you for your patience. Okay, I think we can get started. So thank you very much again for joining us today and welcome to our webinar, Introduction to Scaleway's Virtual Private Cloud. Before we start and before I introduce you to your speakers, just a few housekeeping items. So as you all know, this is a webinar and you are all on mute, but that does not mean we do not want to hear from you. On the contrary, please feel free to submit any questions you may have in the question tab that you see at the bottom of your screen. And you can send us any other messages in the chat that you see at the bottom of your screen. We will also be doing some polls throughout the webinar, so keep an eye out on that as well. The webinar will be recorded and you will all receive the recording and some other useful links in an email tomorrow. And with that, that is it for me. It is my pleasure to introduce you to my colleagues and your speaker for today, Alexandra and Victor. Alexandra?
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Nera. Happy to be here with you all together to present you our virtual private cloud. Thanks for coming. It's always a pleasure to talk about our products and show what you can build in the cloud. So today we are representing the network team from Scaleway. Victor is a product manager and myself, Alexandre, I'm a product marketing manager. We're going to spend the next hour together. We have pretty dense agenda. First, I will make a short introduction about Scaleway, as some of you don't know us very well. Then I will present you, of course, virtual private cloud briefly. In the third part, Victor will do a live demo showing you going from a monolith to a VPC. And before closing in with a Q&A session, we'll show you other examples of architecture. And of course, feel free to submit your question into the section dedicated to that at the bottom right. And as Nera mentioned, we record the session, so you can find it later as a replay. So about Scaleway, let's get started. Briefly, we are a French cloud company with more than 20 years of experience. We are a proud member of Iliad Group, a telecom enterprise. We are currently more than 400 people, all loving cloud technology. We support our infrastructure with 6 data centers in Europe. We have a full region in Paris, and 1 AZ in Poland, and 1 AZ in Netherlands. Today we provide 3 different kinds of services, going from private infrastructure, so it's a co-location called Scaleway Data Center. We have our Scaleway Dedibox offer, where you can rent a dedicated server. And the last one, but not the least, a public cloud ecosystem called Scaleway Element. This is where we focus today with VPC. We have a full public cloud ecosystem with such products like compute, managed database, storage, development tools, network, and so on. We can support many different use cases with products like development instances or enterprise instances, or even with GPU. We have different kind of managed database or different class of storage. And we are constantly developing a large number of new products. Every quarter we bring new features or new products. We are looking for innovation, of course. This table is important actually for this webinar too, because we will be happy to place some of these products inside our VPC. And by the way, we have a short poll for if you want to share us your usage of the cloud. So Nora, if you want to share it, would be interesting. We are member of cloud of network team, so we would like to give you a short focus on our offer. Of course, we provide a virtual private cloud, so to regroup your instances inside a dedicated network. And we have also a load balancer to help you to distribute the workload in the infrastructure. So let's go a little bit more into where we are today, discover the VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. It's actually a new concept at Scaleway as we release our public gateway in general availability in October. We can now provide a VPC, so a solution to secure and control the connection of your infrastructure. If we would like to define our VPC, we can say it's a solution that allows you to group, control, and secure the network connection in your cloud infrastructure. It's your own space in the public cloud. This is how we can define it concretely, but what does it mean? It is actually, we can give you some example. So you can create different layers of infrastructure and keep them secure. You may have heard of the concept of development environment or production environment. You can do that securely with VPC. One private network for your development environment, so nothing is exposed to internet. On one private network for your production environment, connected with a public gateway, so the user can be served for your application. We can give you another example. You can bring different products, different type of products inside the same VPC and secure them, such as a managed database, an elastic metal, or several other instances. So in a nutshell, how we can define VPC at Scaleway, it's a combination of private network and public gateway. The private network to secure and isolate the instances on a dedicated network. On the public gateway, it's to centralize behind a unique IP all the external connection. It brings you security to the infrastructure, and it's much more easy to manage everything. We can go a little bit deeper into the features to manage your VPC. It will help you to configure the settings. So of course, with a private network, you can define if you use IPv4 or IPv6. With a NAT gateway, you route the external traffic to the right endpoint inside your VPC. The DHCP server is very interesting as well. It allows you to assign dynamically the IP inside the private network. Another thing is the local DNS. You can access the resources directly by the domain name. We have also a good network configuration. You can connect up to 8 private networks to the same public gateway. So I hope it gives you a good short first understanding of what is a VPC. Now I let Victor show you how it works concretely in a live demo. It may be more interesting for you. Victor, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm just having a look into the polls. So I see that some of you already are using some cloud resources. So like 30% using instances, some people using Kubernetes, and a few already using VPC. So we wanted to target as much people as possible. So we will start with a really simple example and then go deeper on what we can do with the VPC. So the first thing is tell you a story. So what about to put your servers in the cloud? The idea is that you can start with a really simple Scaleway instance, which will have a public IP. So you can put there like your typical monolith, having a Linux server with some HTTP and MySQL or whatever services that you want. So you can bootstrap really easily a WordPress, Drupal, whatever stuff that you want. So this is like the basic way to go to the cloud. Instead of having web hosting, you just create your virtual instance and you can tune it as you want. The problem with this approach is that, of course, you need to scale up when you have more traffic or more specific use cases. What you will want to do is to split your architecture, split this monolith in different instances that will be using the specific resources that you need. So for instance, we see that we need more CPU for the web server, so you will use a general purpose instance, or maybe for the database, it's a huge database with really need of more CPU power or having really good disk access, so you will go for an enterprise solution, right? So this is great. That's the spirit of the cloud. Allows you to fine tune your needs in different instances that are hosted on our data centers, and they are accessible using the internet connection that we provide on the public IP that you have attached to this instance. However, there is a catch. Of course, when you start splitting this monolith into a microservice architecture where you have a lot of instances that are running, of course, you are also increasing the surface of attack for hackers. You need to take care of several servers, so updating Linux, all the software that is running, because there are always security problems. And if you want to have like instance by instance fine grain control list access, you will need to do it one by one, right? So it's a little bit more complicated. And what we would like to do is something much more simpler. So what we want to do is take them out from internet, right? So we remove the IP address. Now we have our instances and they are isolated. So this is great. Of course, there is no use of doing this. It's not very useful, right? So what we can do instead is use the private network of Scaleway. What will do this private network is logically group the instances in order for us to do some configuration, right? So the first thing that we will have is that we will be adding interfaces that are private. So we will able to have private IP assigned to these instances, that this will also allow them to communicate inside the private network because they are connected logically with this infrastructure. So this is the first step that we can do, have this private network that will allow you to group stuff. Of course, if you need to access this is on the cloud, you need to be inside here. So the first solution is to have like a VPN or something that allows you to go inside the private network. That's the easy one. But if you need to not only access this private network, but also expose stuff, and the VPN is not the solution, you can also think on using the public gateway. Okay, so the public gateway purpose is here to connect both the public network, so the internet, with the private network. That's the role of this. And how it does this is because we have a public IP assigned to this that will also be able to use a private IP to connect in the private network. So think about this like the box that you have at home when you connect to the internet. You have your private network and you have the router that is allowing to do all the connections that are needed. So that's fine. That's the first thing. Then the second thing that we need is also to have specific rules that will allow to fine tune which services are exposed in order for us to do some work, right? So for instance, here in the example, We have a web server, a database, the public gateway, and the only thing that we would like to expose is the web server because that's what people is actually using. And then the connection to the database should stay internal into the private network. So the demo is a really simple one. I wanted to go in hands, so we will do it live. I hope it will work. So as you see, there is this simple web page. Let me click here. And what's happening is that we have a quote of the day. If I click, some stuff is arriving here. So let me just check here. And if we check a little bit, the only thing that is happening is that I'm calling an endpoint, which gets, live stuff. Yeah, so we are just getting from the quote endpoint a JSON document that we then display here. Really simple stuff. So let me go back to our demo here. Okay, so how this will work is the first thing that we need to do is create the private network. So just let me go out from here. So you're seeing the screen. And how we will deploy this is using Terraform. Okay, so I will just run it because it takes like 4 minutes to do the stuff. So I am here. I have a Terraform file that has all the architecture that we'll deploy. Okay, and I will explain it just later. So Terraform apply. It plans what it has to do. We tell yes, and then it started creating all the stuff. I wanted just to show you that at the beginning we didn't have any private network. We didn't have any. It's too late. It's already created to gateways and the stuff. It's here creating. So yeah, it just ran and it's creating now. So let's go here. So the stuff that we want to do is to create the private network. That's the first stuff. Then we will create the public gateway and the instances that we need. So like that, they are inside the private network. The third step will be add the DHCP configuration. So we will define the private network within the block of 192.168.1.0/24. So IPs will be automatically assigned to any instance that pop inside this private network. The only one that is reserved is the .1, which is assigned automatically to the public gateway to allow the routing inside the network. Okay. And then the fourth thing that we want to do is to add some NAT rules that will allow us to connect, for instance, the public IP of the public gateway at the port 80 and forward this to the quote server inside in the port 8080. Okay. So let's go do that. Just to check. Yeah, forgot one thing. Sorry. So yeah, these are the things that we want. There is one extra thing that we need to do is we don't have any public IP on the instances, right? So if I need to do the SSH to configure and run the servers and stuff, so I will need to add 2 extra NAT rules in order to forward the traffic to the SSH inside the network. Okay. Okay, so let's go do that. Here I have the Terraform. I just will go through it really, really fast. As you can see, here is still creating the VPC gateway, doing all the configuration that it's needed. How does the Terraform work? It's really simple. We just have to declare that we want to use a Scaleway provider, okay? And then in my case, my provider is using a specific profile that I have because I have several projects on the console so that you can see it here. When you go here, I have several projects. So to choose VPC webinar, I just need to declare it here. And that's it. This is configured in your machine. So I have the secret, the tokens and everything to connect. And that's it. So then the section that it's interesting here is that we have the private network. We just create a resource that is called demo private network. As you see, we are assigning DHCP resource with this subnet definition, which is the one that we wanted. We will create a public gateway, which will have an IP because we need to be to access the network with a public IP. Here you can see the instance creation. So as you see, we are creating a web server and a database instances, which are, in my case, dev1s type. So I'm just creating some small instances for the example. And the important part here is that we are creating these instances associated immediately in this private network. Okay, so this is just the ID of the private network that will be created here. Okay, in the demo private network. So that's it. And then the last part of the file, you don't need to understand everything, but just to follow the idea. And it's our steps 1, 2, 3, 4. So the last one is the forwarding rule. So we will connect, as you see, port 80 with 8080 internally, and the port 2221 with the port 22, 22, 22 with the port 22. Okay, so my Terraform is finished. So let me just show you now what we can do. Let's go back to the console here. You can see the instances are there running since 3 minutes. If I go to the private network, we see that now we have one private network with 3 instances. So 3 resources that are attached. If I go to look here, attach resources, I can get that I have the web server, the database, those are instances, and the public gateway that is created as well. So the public gateway is the one that is doing all the DHCP configuration. So I just enter here. We have a public IP address. It's not the one that you saw here in the quote because, of course, this is already running. So it's another server. So let me just show you that if I try to do HTTP to this IP, well, it's not working because nothing is running. Okay, so just let's copy this because what we want to do is to use it later. So now I go to the DHCP part. As you see, it's enabled. Subnet is the good one. The public IP, the public gateway IP is there. And we can see the DHCP status where I get which are the IPs that were assigned to the web server and to the database. Okay, a bigger font. Okay, thank you. Hope it's better there. Okay, so here in the DHCP, we see that I have the 192, 168.1.82 for the web server and the 83 for the database. Okay, so we need to remember that because the code that I will be running will use it. Okay, but yeah, that's it. So the last part that we want is to configure the NAT rules. Okay, so I just created the NAT rules. Since the DHCP assigns on the fly the IP addresses, I need to fix that. Okay, so 82 is a web server. So I will just here edit this one, and this should be 82. I will use it as well for the SSH. Okay, and then 83 for the database. Okay, so now my NAT rules are running. Okay, so the resolution is a bit blurred. I don't know. Okay, so I hope that you can see that now we will be doing the SSH part. So this is the server code. So this is Terraform. So let me just go to the example code here before doing the SSH. So you see it's a really simple code. This is the server database. I am not running a real database because it takes longer to configure, and the example is really simple. So this is just an array of records, and here you can see that I have a server that is created. It's a TCP server, and it will handle connections. So this is basically a really simple Python code that will just pick one at random from these quotes. Okay, so as I said, I just need to put here the address. If I remember correctly, of course, 183. So it will be running on that IP. Then the HTTP code is as well really simple. We are just running an HTTP server on server host server port. So this here needs to be 82, if I remember correctly. And same thing for the quote of the day server. This is 83, okay? And that's it. Let me go back here, just 82, 83. I need to get back the IP address. And let's go here. So now if I do SSH root at this IP address, okay, port 2221, oops, port, okay, I need to add the key, and I am connected to the web server, okay? Is it, I see some comments about blurry. I hope that it's better. Adding some.
Hey, Victor, maybe if you can just magnify a little bit your font, I think that might help.
Yeah, trying to do that. Okay. So now here as well, SSH and root at nope. There minus P2222. We are at the database, okay? So as you see, I did SSH to the public IP, and the NAT rule that we installed allowed us to go inside the private network to both the web server and the database, okay? So to show you that this is running, I can do ping here, 192, 168.1.1. So I am doing a ping to the public gateway from the web server. I can do here also to 82, which is myself, so it's not very interesting. Let me just, I can list all the interfaces. So as you see, here I am 82. So this is the private IP that we get from DHCP, and I don't have any public IP, okay? So the example, it was 83 actually, because that's the other. So here I am doing the ping to the database, okay? We told you about DNS, so that's also working. So if I just write database here, you get 83 as well as IP, because this is the local DNS that it's exploding the it's auto-configured with DHCP. So that's it. We have our two instances that are configured. So I just need to run the code. So let me just do here bim server.py. So this is the web server. I will just copy here with the good addresses. That should work. And then the same thing here, bim server.py. And that's it. So let's run this thing, Python 3 server.py. The server is started at the 83 IP on the 4242 port. And same here thing, Python 3 server.py. And I am starting the HTTP port, the HTTP server on the 8280. So as you see, only private addresses. And if we go now here, this is working. Okay, that's great. So you can see I am doing some queries. And what we see here on the console is that I am trying to, this is the log of the web server. So I'm just getting some access from the IP 91 168.73.212, which is my local IP here at my home. Okay, and as you can see, the connections are happening. So let me just maybe try to show you. When I do a click here, that's it, right? So I have an HTTP request that arrives to the web server. The web server connects to the database, and then we answer to the client. So let's go back here. So just to be clear, what happened is this. The communication flow is as follows. I am from home connecting to the public gateway, public IP. So I do a HTTP request on the port 80. This is forwarded because we created this NAT rule to the web server inside using only the private network, private IP. So we forward this from the 80 to the 8080. And the third thing that happened is that the web server, when get this request, it connects to the quote database in the port 4242. Okay, so let me just show you really bit here. This is the TCP server that was running on the 4242, and the HTTP. Here is what is happening. So it's a server that is running on the server port 8080. Okay. When we get one request, HTTP request, either we send here just the basic HTML that you saw, which is this HTML stub, or else if we ask to the specific endpoint slash quote, we do something else. What we do is we connect to the database here. So as you see, this is a TCP connection that is happening. And then we get back the answer from the database server. Okay, so we just receive a buffer, and then we put this into a JSON file, and we send this to the client. Okay, so this is a local connection that is happening, and it's inside the network. Okay. So that's it. Let me go back to the presentation. Okay, so I hope it's clear. What are the takeaways here? So the VPC enables you to transition to the cloud. Okay, so the idea is that you had ways to pop instances, to go to the cloud, to put your services there, and we are providing networking primitives that will make you do this in an easy way. Okay. The second thing that you get is an easy way to scale up, because we will help you to construct common patterns with Terraform, with our APIs, to plan and to deploy easily your cloud infrastructure and scale it up or down whenever you need. And the third one is that all this will also provide you more security, because you are isolating your instances, you are fine-tuning the control that you need on the specific instances that you want. So you are the master to control all the infrastructure and which access do you want. So what can we do after this, right? So as I said, and I think I saw a question about this, there is one basic stuff that you can do is just put your instances on the cloud, you create a private network, and then you can set up a VPN server that will connect through this VPN tunnel your local on-premise infrastructure. So imagine that you have your company and you have already some computers that they are configured in your local area network. They could see the cloud using this VPN tunnel. Okay, so like this is like matching up both and getting access to this server using only as if they were private resources in your local area network. Okay. The second thing that you can do is integrate with Elements ecosystem. So in my example, I just use Scaleway instances, but there is no problem. We also can integrate Scaleway Elastic Metal. So you can put bare metal running inside the private network. We can also have Scaleway database as a service. So you can, we instead of putting my really simple Python code for the database, we could pop a database and connect to, I don't know, MySQL or Postgres. So this is something that you can do today. I saw a question about Kubernetes. Kubernetes is coming. We need to fix first the regional part, but it's something that will be also addressed later this year. The next stuff that you can do is to put a load balancer. So the load balancer, it also have a public IP and it can be attached to the private network. So like that, you can balance and hide the instances where you are balancing. So the backends can be inside the private network. It could be a Scaleway instance or Scaleway Elastic Metal as you wish. The working environment, so this is a typical use case that you can do. It allows you to not only split the network in order to control the security, so being sure that you are touching development and not production. That's typical, something that we do, right? As developers, we want to put stuff on the cloud, but we want to be also sure that we are not touching the production servers because we don't want to mess up with clients. So that's something that you can easily do. You just need to group your different servers in different private networks. So the idea here is that you have mirror the architecture because that's something that we want as developers. We want to have something that is as close as possible as the production environment. And then you can ask yourself if you want to have the same servers or maybe fine tune for cost management, for instance, the resources that you have. So for instance, in your development environment, inside this private network, you use development instances, while in the production environment, you will be using an enterprise instance or maybe even Elastic Metal. Okay. So going further, there is a lot of documentation. I love that at Scaleway. People works really hard to provide really good documents. So don't hesitate. We will be sharing. There are some links that explain you how to configure your VPC, how to auto-configure using the public gateway your network, how to use the VPN, and how to create this mesh that allows you to connect to a private network. And as well, the simple code example that I show are available on GitHub. So thank you very much. We will be sharing a form. I don't know if we already did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, great. So just last word. Just last, so yeah, the idea was to present you really easily how to use this new, not as new because it's been a couple of months now, but we wanted to give it a new refresh start to the VPC because two things. We are building a lot of new features, so we also want you to participate on that. So we will getting some good feedback. So thank you very much for all the questions. I think that they are right on target of the stuff that we were thinking. So the idea is to get closer to you. And myself, as a product manager, I will be more than happy to pass some time with any of you guys that has some specific problems, and we will be in contact soon. You please answer the feedback form, and like that, I can know that you want to participate later, so I can contact you to do more discovery activities.
You can reach us as well on the community Slack.
Yeah.
And we give you here our email address.
Yeah, don't hesitate if you have any question, any feedback, either community Slack, it works really well. You will find our developers there that have way better answers than me. But if you also want to drop me a line, please do it. I will be more than happy to answer and get talking about this to see how we move forward. Thank you very much, Neva.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alexandra and Victor, for this great presentation and demo. We hope you found it useful. As we mentioned, the recording will be shared tomorrow. Our apologies for the small technical issue there were some slides that were blurry. But during the recording, you should be able to zoom in and see it fairly easily. And like Victor said, we would really appreciate if you can take 1 minute to fill out our feedback form and let us know where we can improve. And if you would like to have a discovery session with the product team. And that is it from us for today. We wish you a wonderful day, and we hope to see you at some of our other webinars as well. Thank you very much, and
thank
bye-bye.
you, everyone. Thank you for your participation.
Bye.